In this video, I want to touch briefly on global adjustments versus local adjustments, when to use which, and the benefits of each of them. This will rather be a short demonstration on which tools to use in which scenario, but I hope you draw some conclusion out of it and can apply it to your own pictures. Anyway, let's get started. So I captured this fine gentleman walking down the street in Paris. And if we look at the original picture, which you will see here, you will recognize that I muted for the highlights primarily. This means that he is rather in shadow. So what happens if we do a local adjustment is that we flatten out the picture. So everything gets brighter, and you will see it on the histogram. Everything is moving to the right. And of course, it's a monochromatic picture. He is wearing black clothes or dark clothes. So he will still stand out, but you see what's happening to the contrast? It's virtually gone at this point. So my intention with this picture is that we keep the highlights intact, but lighten up his body, his face, and some extras, maybe make the shadows even darker. And that's exactly what I did with this picture. Takes a few seconds, so here we go. You see, the general settings I didn't touch at all, or at least almost none of them. The blacks I touched, it's at -14, and half a stop of exposure gain here. But where the magic happens is when applying masks. You can see here I've created several masks for this one image. The first one is the subject. It covers his body in total. Then we got another mask for his eyes. This one is for the sky. This one is for the background. And the fifth one is for the right-hand side of the street. I just darken it, and it's really subtle. So if I toggle it off and on, you can see it doesn't do much, but it contributes to the entire image. So if I deactivate all those masks, you will see that those 5 masks really do the heavy lifting on this image. So when they are applied, you see it's a much more balanced image, and the subject really stands out now. So this is in stark contrast to the original image where he's underexposed. This is a great image for applying local adjustments to get to the final product. In contrast, this image of the Brooklyn Bridge is a really good example on how to use global adjustments to make your image pop. Inherently, this image is rather flat because of those heavy clouds in the morning. I'm not sure if I've taken this even prior to sunrise. So it's really flat, you know. The shadows are light. There's not really much highlights going on. I've underexposed it by nearly 4 stops. So we parked this at 3.7. Yeah, the shadows are lifted. So the entire image is rather flat. To mitigate this problem, the first thing we do is we boost the contrast, which will widen the histogram, as you can see. It's always important to have near blacks and near whites, so you get a dynamic picture with a lot of tonal ranges. Don't fear that it will get too dark, because we will lift the shadows in this one and increase the highlights to make the sky a bit brighter. There's also some whites. We can try this. Keep in mind that whites will also affect the foreground, because, you know, it's a flat picture. So there's a lot of places in this picture that almost got the same tonal or luminance values. So if we increase the whites, the foreground also will increase. And now we crush some of the blacks to introduce that contrast. And those are just the general adjustments I made to this picture. And this is the one before and after. So you can see with just a few sliders and clicks, you introduce like some contrast. The image pops even more. And this is just the first stage. Make the picture pop even more. We can go to the color tab and mess a bit with the saturation of the blues in the sky. Also change the luminance. The fun thing is, even though this feels like it's a really specific adjustment, it's a broad adjustment because you're targeting a lot of the colors, and Lightroom introduced point color at some point in the last few months, where you can select a specific color in this picture, for example, like the sky, and you can visualize the range. You will see it will only affect the sky. So there's like no blues in the foreground affected, maybe a bit of the white stripe, but you can fine tune this with the range. As you can see, the foreground will not be affected as much. And then you can shift the saturation, for instance, the luminance. Yeah, that's really neat. And then we have the American flag, where we can also address the red tones. So here we go. So we can shift it more towards the red. But as you can see, it also affecting a bit of the middle ground. So we have to redefine it a bit. Yeah. So this is like a small manipulation on the color side, but we're talking mainly about the diodes in the light section. So this is our before and our after. This is how I would suggest you use global adjustments if the image is really flat.